Hello, I'm Robin Smith, and this is my first live video, so thank you for joining me. I'm a trauma and relationship coach over here in the Rock Your Relationship movement and that I've started. And if you haven't seen my Facebook group, Rock Your Relationships Sisterhood, I hope you'll join us there. I want to share a little bit about communication, why it can be so frustrating and hard, and then what's possible when you have good communication. And we'll look at my upcoming free communication training and what you can expect from that training as well. So put a hello in the comment if you're here. Let me know where you're listening from, and let's get started. The first thing is, so many people come to me complaining about communication and feel like that's the main thing they need to resolve in their relationships, whether it's with a partner or it could be with a child or somebody at work too. And here's what happens. People have these old habits that they learned in their childhood from family or at other places. And it can be really, really challenging when we are blaming each other, we are criticizing each other, people are getting triggered and defensive or angry, they're getting scared or sad because of the communication. It's easy to hurt people when we're harsh and we're criticizing and name calling. We could be finding ourselves escalating into an argument or some kind of conflict. And we can also notice that my necklace is crooked. Just thought I'd fix this real quick here. The other thing that can happen is because of this difficult communication, people can end up moving apart. So you have a conflict, things escalate, you have hurt feelings, and then you end up moving away from somebody when what you really want is to feel more connected and close. And that can be so painful to feel that kind of hurt to your ego or hurt to your heart when you don't get the kind of connection that you're longing for. And then when there is this hurt, there can also be, and you can end up, kind of holding a grudge or wanting to hurt somebody back. So put a me too in the comment if you notice that happens for you, that any of those things happen for you. The name calling, the defensiveness, the criticism, the trigger, the getting triggered and reactive, or the getting hurt and moving apart, or the resentment. So just know that you're definitely not alone if any of that's happening in your relationships. And it can be really challenging to feel like you are getting heard and respected in your communication, that your needs are getting met, that you're being understood. So that's why I offer the Rock Your Relationship communication training for women, because I know how hard it is. I've been in my own struggles, and earlier in my life especially, I had a lot of power struggles in my earlier relationship before the one I'm in now. So right now I'm in a 22-year relationship with my husband, and we rarely argue. Sometimes we get upset with each other, we raise our voices, but then we come back together and we find our way back to harmony. But it wasn't that way in the past. And I used to have a lot of power struggles and hurt feelings and anger and resentment building up and not feeling heard. And I was incredibly frustrated. So that's why I went on to study communication for years and to learn to be a relationship coach, and then ultimately to study developmental and complex trauma, because I could see how many people struggle, and it just felt so satisfying to me to be able to support people. And plus I saw the changes in my own relationship. So even with Patrick, my husband now, we used to have some power struggles and arguments. And when we learned the tools that I'm going to be sharing in this training, we started to hear each other more. I started to learn how to speak up for myself and get more confident around what I needed and wanted. And I also realized that I was doing some things. I had some bad habits that were causing the conflicts to escalate. And so did he. And so as I shared what I was learning, he also learned from me, and he did some of his own training too. But mostly it was me doing a lot of training, bringing that back into the relationship and using that to help us repair when we had a rupture and create a sweeter connection. And it made a huge difference. So that now I have very little drama in our relationship or any relationship. And I used to have quite a bit of drama in other relationships in my life. So it wasn't only with Patrick, but with girlfriends and colleagues, I would have this drama and this frustration and these arguments. And it really didn't feel good. and it hurt. So that's why I bring these tools to you, because I know that the tools helped me a ton in all of my relationships. And I also know that they've worked with my clients as well. So I hope you take me up on the offer to join my Rock Your Relationship Communication Training, which starts tonight, March 18th. And I'm going to give you a little window into some of what we're doing there, so you can see how you also could get some support and get some help in the areas that you're struggling. So let's see. One thing I want to help you to do in the training is to learn how not to say it, because there are definitely ways that we end up saying things that cause more problems than good. So, and I've already mentioned some of them here, blaming and criticizing, and some of the things that we do that cause defensiveness, like when we're making demands. So I'm gonna break some of that down and help you learn what not to do. And then of course, I'm gonna give you the flip side, the tools for how to do it. So we're going to look at, on the first day, some of what are the triggers and what is happening currently, so you can be very clear about that. And I'm also going to give you a very simple tool for how to start expressing what's true for you, so you are much more likely to not be argued with when you express the absolute truth of what's going on for you. You're also going to learn on the next day, day 2, how not to trigger defensiveness. So there's certain ways to articulate yourself, to share about what's happening for you, that really help you not trigger defensiveness. Now, I can't promise how anyone else is going to respond, of course, but I can give you the best tools that work with most people around this, so that you're more likely to get heard, you're more likely to get understood and stay out of a conflict. We're also going to look at how you can get what you want, how you can get your needs met without triggering someone's resistance or defensiveness. So often when we're asking for something, someone resists us or pushes back, and especially younger, teenagers and whatnot, or your children, but even your partner, that could happen with, when you say it in a way that is triggering, like that most people would get triggered by. So I'm going to, again, teach you how not to say it and how to say it, so you're more likely to get heard around what you want and around requests, how to make them skillfully, so that people are much more likely to follow through, or at least you're much more likely to find a way where both people can get what they need. That's a really powerful one. And lastly, but it's not really last, because there's a lot more that comes through the training, but one of the things we're doing on the last day, the 4th day, is we are looking at how to communicate so that you create a sweetness and a more depth of connection in your relationship. And this is an important piece that's often overlooked. So we take each other for granted, and we go along like we're roommates sometimes, or ships passing in the night, and we don't have the sweetness and the type of connection that we used to have when we got together, right? Or this can even be happening in other relationships in your life with family members or friends or colleagues. So I'm going to give you a really important tool for how to sweeten the connection, create a connection, and just feel more loving and seen by one another. So that's a really good one. So those are some of the main things we're going to cover. And let me just look over my notes here. The thing I love about this too is that you're going to learn how to honor yourself in the process. So in the training, I'm not only giving you tools and things to practice, I'm also giving you a context for how to look at things a little differently, so that you are less likely to slip into your old habits. And this is a key one I haven't actually expressed before, but it's really important to know, and you're going to see that when you're in the training, that we're going to be looking at these things from a kind of a more broad perspective about why it works, why it doesn't, and then how to change it. So when you have that kind of context, basically an understanding for what's happening, you're more likely to implement the new tools, rather than if all I did was just do this, it might not stick. And so my intention for you in this training is that you get these solid tools that you can implement every day. And that's what we do, is every day, the 4 days of the training, the core training, I'm going to give you a tool to practice at the end of the class. And I ask you to go do this outside the class with your partner or maybe a colleague or a child or whoever. Children, of course, are different. They don't have the full development that we have. So, but with somebody who can hear you, hopefully, and you'll bring back your experience and you'll share about what you learned and you'll ask questions. And so we enhance our learning this way by actually taking the tool and implementing it right away. And that's what I love about this training. It is boots on the ground. We're learning in only an hour, 75 minutes a day. You're going to learn so much, and then you'll integrate what you learn, and then you'll come back for the next class and get the next tool, integrate that. And so every day you're building on what you learned the day before, so that you have the experience in your cells. You have the experience of using the tools by the end of the training. So they're going to come a lot more naturally for you than if you just got this out of a book or or you listened to a lecture. So this is not that. This is not just watch me and do nothing. This is watch, interact. That's why I do the classes live on Zoom with everybody present who can be present, is because I want you to interact, because learning happens much more deeply when you're engaging, you're commenting, you're seeing what other people are saying, and you're right there with me. So I hope you choose to do that and join me live if you possibly can. And I know not everybody can. You're in Europe or wherever, or you're working or whatever's happening, and you are welcome to watch the replays. They will be available for a limited time, but when you can join live, please do. It's for you. It's for you to get the most benefit that you can. So I can't wait to share this with you. I'm super excited as I'm planning the classes today, putting my attention right here on this training. And I really look forward to meeting you there and sharing it with you, and hoping that you have a fantastic experience and that you really do rock your relationships and get everything you came for and so much more from the training. Thanks for watching me today. And again, any comments you have, put them below and I'll get a notification and I'll come back and answer any questions as well as soon as I can. So click the link below to the Rock Your Relationship Communication Training. You can also see it on my website. If for some reason you don't see it here, you can go to robynsmith.net, ROBYN Smith.net. It's in the top bar of my website. You can learn more about me there. And I can't wait to share the training with you. Bye, everybody.